Hey guys, this is the Mountain Ripper coming to you with a new video, backpacking gear list. Just as a reminder, it's kind of an overall review. If you're getting ready to go on a hike, you can look at this video as a reminder to make sure you have everything. This is a general list and covers kind of a variety, but it will give you the ideas that you need so you don't forget anything on your next hike, okay? Alright, so we've got, first we have our sleep section, which would be our tent, tarp, hammock, whatever our sleep system is. So I would say if you have your tarp or your tent, make sure everything is included, you know, for your tent. Make sure you got all the bars for it. Make sure you've got everything you need for that. A vapor barrier underneath your tent, between the tent and the ground. Make sure you have that, and make sure you have tie outs, your guy lines, and ground stakes for your rain fly. And the same thing applies for your tarp. Make sure you got your ridge line. Make sure you've got your tarp is in good order, that is, you know, it's going to be waterproof for you, that the seams are sealed. And you take that tarp and you put it out. Make sure you've got your guy lines and your stakes for that. I would pack an extra stake or two in case you're going from one campsite to another. You could forget one. You don't want to get there and be missing one, so I would pack like maybe one extra. That would be a good idea. Okay, so make sure you have all that covered for that. And then, like for your hammock, you want to make sure you've got your hammock suspension, be it your webbing or your whoopee slings, whatever you use to keep your hammock up. Make sure that is in good condition and ready to go. And so have that. If you need to have carabiners with it, make sure those are there, and make sure the carabiners are in good working order. And so you make sure you got that. You make sure if you have a ground pad or maybe something to put outside of your tent or at the bottom of your hammock, just to keep, you know, mud from getting into your tent. Or if you get out of your hammock, you have something comfortable to put your feet on rather than, you know, the mud and dirt. So I usually get a little poncho. I unfold those little tiny ponchos. They sell them at Walmart for like $1 or $2, and you can just lay it out. A trash bag will work too. Lay it out, just put a rock on each corner, and there you go. You got a nice clean spot to get in and out of your hammock or your tent. And so that's pretty good. That's one thing I do. And then you've got your pad, your ground pad, your sleeping pad, like a Thermarest or something like that. Make sure you have that with you if you're going to be in a tent. And then that leads us into what we're going to wear when we're sleeping. We got our underquilt, our top quilt, sleeping bag, our sleep system, whatever that might be. Because I've got my homemade system for my top quilt, so you can look into whatever system works that is best for you to keep you warm in whatever conditions you're going to be in. So you'll have that, a pillow. If you're going to have a pillow, don't forget to bring your pillow. And one thing to have that is nice is a light to put, like a small light to put in your tent or tarp, just to give you some light in addition to your headlamp. So that is good. And then the next thing we've got to have is our rain gear. We got to think about that. If it's going to be storming, do we need the full-on rain suit? Do we need just a light jacket or just a light poncho like I mentioned earlier? Just make sure you have what you need in case the weather does turn bad. And then when you're sleeping, you know, what are you going to wear when you're sleeping? Do you have thermal underwear? Are you going to need thermal underwear? A good layering system is great for that, because then you can take off if you need to, or add to it if you need to. You can keep it light, you know, and you can look at it and examine just what you need for the weather conditions. So make sure you go over that, including hats, gloves, thick socks, your footwear. I mean, you're going to wear boots, sandals, hiking shoes. Do you need both? Are you going to be going in and out of water? Do you need sandals and boots? Depending on what the terrain is going to be like. So make sure you're prepared for the terrain. Because one time I wore a pair of shoes that it didn't work out very well. At the end of the hike, my feet were in bad shape. So think about that in advance. And then you got to think about the comforts too of your campsite. I mean, do you want to go first class? Do you want to go ultra light. I mean, think about what you want to do there. I got my little folding chair that I carry, which is great because you're hiking on the trail, you want to take a break, you take your folding chair, you sit down and have lunch. Or you can do that with at camp at night. You can have your folding chair, which is wonderful. And you can also use your folding chair for a little table next to your hammock, which is good too. So you can use like one item for multiple uses. And so think about what you're going to want to have for comforts in camp. I would advise against, if you're backpacking, I would advise against carrying like extra stuff you're not going to need. And also I would advise against taking things like iPads, something big like that, because it's just going to weigh you down. In the end, you're going to regret taking it. So unless it's a really short hike, that's different. But if you're going to be going some miles, think about the kind of weight you're going to be carrying versus the comfort you're going to have in camp. Okay, the next thing on the list is food. What are you going to want to have for food? I always, when I first started backpacking, I carried so much food. I mean, by the time I got to the end of my hike, I had enough food left to go for another hike. So don't overpack on the food. Think about the meals, think about what you're going to carry, and keep it to just what you're going to need on the hike. That's my best advice, is just carry what you're going to need. Like if you're doing a 2-night, have 2 dinners, say 2 dehydrated meals. Lunch, maybe you could cook if you want, or if not, a couple like tuna, like the little pre-packaged tuna is great for that, with a pack of crackers or something like that. And then something light for breakfast. And if you want to go first class, that's good too. You do it any way you like. Just remember that whatever you're going to take, you're going to have to carry. And, maybe like on the first night, eat the heaviest food first, depending on where you're going. So have your food, and also you got coffee. If you want to have coffee, tea, any snacks you want to have, think about that. I'd try and keep it as light as you can. And you're better off going with like dehydrated stuff and then adding the water later, rather than carrying like canned food or meals that are heavy. If you just do the dehydrated meals, that's what I do. I want to get to where I can make them at home and be a little bit more creative with my cooking, but usually I just get like Mountain House or something like that. But you can get creative with your meals, but make sure you have what you need, for food, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe if you want to take like one extra meal, that's fine, but I would just keep it to the minimum, because you're not going to need as much as you think. And then that leads us into our cook system for meals. If you do plan to cook, you want to have your pocket rocket or your stove, your pot. If it's an alcohol stove, make sure you have plenty of fuel for that. Make sure you got your butane for your pocket rocket. Make sure you have plenty of that. And I know with my alcohol stove, I've got it figured out to where 3/4 of an ounce to an ounce the most will get me per meal. So if I've got, say, 4 meals, I'm going to do 2 dinners and 2 lunches. That's 1 4-ounce bottle of fuel. And so if I'm going to do anything extra than that, I can bring a second 4-ounce bottle of fuel, and that'll usually get me plain. It's just 2 little 4-ounce bottles of fuel. That's why I like the alcohol stoves, because I know how much I'm going to need for each meal. With the butane, you just never really know when it's going to run out on you, do you? I've had the butane run out when there was still fuel in there, it just wouldn't come out. That can happen too. So make sure your stove works, make sure your fuel works, make sure you have enough fuel for your hike. So the next thing we got to consider is our pots and what we're going to cook in, what we're going to drink out of, where we're going to put our drinks, our coffee, stuff like that. There's different options for that. Let me show you what I've got here. This is GSI Outdoors, and it's got a cozy built into it. There's your cozy, and then here's the pot, so you can actually cook with this. So you put your coffee in there, whatever. You put this on here, and here's a great little lid right here for it. It goes right on the top, and there's your coffee. So you can have that, and then another option, and here's a carbon felt windscreen, and here's a little lid, Mini Bull Designs. But here is your other cook set option, homemade cozy out of Reflectix, Foster's pot, and you can cook out of that. And you can, your stove can go right here. Your alcohol stove, well, that would go like this. Alcohol stove right here. So make sure you have those options covered. And here's another little pot right here. This is a light aluminum pot. You can use that. So just make sure you got everything you need. Your flint right here. And here's two different kinds of cook stoves. Trangia, Fancy Feast. Okay, well, I'm getting a little off topic here, but basically what I'm saying is make sure you have everything you need for your cook system. And make sure, other thing is with your fuel bottle, make sure that your fuel bottle, the lid is on tight and it does not leak. Because the last thing you want is for all your fuel to leak out while you're hiking. Okay, so the next thing after that is water filter. You got the Katahdin, and you've got Sawyer. There's different brands of water filters. Make sure you have the right water filter that you're going to want to take. Make sure everything works with your water filter. Make sure it's not clogged. Make sure it's clean and ready to go, and you've got all the accessories with it. The last thing you want to do is get out there and go to get fresh water, and you can't, and you're missing a part of that. So make sure that's complete. And let's see, we've got a headlamp. You want to have lights at night. You want to have your headlamp. Make sure you got extra batteries for your headlamp. Make sure you got extra batteries for your little lamp that you're going to have in your tent if you have one. First aid kit. Got to make sure we got everything we need for that. Inhalers, Band-Aids, blisters, moleskin, or whatever you want to have in there. Make sure you have what you need. So in case of an emergency, you've got everything. A small knife would be good. I've never needed a really big knife on the trail, although I do carry one sometimes. But it's a small knife is really all you need. And gaffer's tape, some extra gaffer's tape, maybe wrapped around your trekking pole or somewhere in your items, so just in case you need that, if tent rips or if something you need to do a repair. And I've got an Eno hammock repair kit that I carry just in case. I've had a close call one time with my bracelet because it has a little saw thing on it. It's built into my bracelet right here, and part of the metal on there kind of snagged on my hammock. And so something like that, make sure you don't have any sharp edges when you go into your tent or hammock, so you won't potentially damage what you got. Let's see. So we got our first aid cover, our small knife, our gaffer's tape, hammock repair kit, trekking poles. Do you have your trekking poles ready? Do you need your trekking poles? It's totally up to you. Sometimes I use my bamboo walking sticks, or I use ski poles for snow skiing. Those work good too. So make sure you have that if you're going to need it. Let's see, compass, handheld GPS, DeLorme inReach, spot communicator, whatever you need. If you're going to be out far, you need to contact family. Make sure you have that with plenty of batteries. And cameras. Are you going to bring a camera? You're going to bring your video. You're going to bring your fishing pole. Whatever you need, for your luxuries. You want to have some fun. Make sure you have that all stocked and ready to go. If you bring a weapon, have that. Portable shower. You might want to have a portable shower. I got mine at DutchWearGear.com. They've also got other kinds of portable showers at REI, camping stores, places like that. Gaiters. I saw some really cool gaiters that are like for snakes, or can protect you from snakes. I want to get a set of those, so that's something to consider. Think about, if you're going to be going out in the desert or places where you might be around snakes, think about that. And wet wipes, toilet paper, a towel, like a small towel, a camp towel. If you do take a shower, you can dry off, or you can, if you got something hot like your dinner and you're going to put on your leg, you can put your towel on that to keep, because it's hot and you want to burn your leg. So you might want to have something like that. Plenty of wet wipes. That's what I use, or toilet paper. If you want to bring a saw like this right here, this is pretty cool. This is from Home Depot. It's like $8 or something. And you can use this to make firewood. If you're going to be out camping in the cold weather, this is perfect. I've never really had to carry it, but if I go out and it's going to be cold, just be prepared for what the weather's going to be. So yeah, and have all that. And that pretty well covers it. If I've forgotten anything or if I skipped anything, please put that in the description box so I can, make a note for everybody. And I appreciate you for watching, and thanks a lot.